So we don't cover Frank Turek often on the show, because usually when we're covering Frank Turek, it's because we're doing a collaboration with Vice Rhino, because that is more up his alley than mine these days. But we do need to cover it, because of course Frank Turek has some choice words to say about what the Bible says about the gays. But first, let's get into the fan art section, everybody. This one is from Skit, and there is no context given, but, there's definitely some athleticism being shown there that I don't have. The next one we have here is from Chocoholic, gotten back into the channel, decided to do a second piece of fan art. Someone in chat mentioned Blaze Blue, so I made a Prime Field device, Suris. Oh, fair enough. The last one we have here is from the Fluffy B1. I liked Lilith's Earth so much that I wanted to give a proper drawing of them, so here you go. The fire-wielding Lilith Suris. Damn, I slurred saying my own name because I had a burp being held in. Anywho, as always, everybody, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. But with that said, let's go ahead and get right into the video. This one...
Why is homosexuality deemed wrong in our religion? And people have feelings, who are Christians as well, who struggle with their sexual orientation. And
why is it in black and white?
Why is it in them? I mean, I know everything happens for a purpose, but why would they...
Skull Mulcher, thank you for redeeming your points for... You fucking degen.
Have those feelings? Is it like a test or something else?
Well, why do any of us have feelings to do things we know we ought not do? We all have.
Okay, so we begin with... Let's go ahead and get something out of the way. The dude on the right asks Frank Turek, hey, so if we're not supposed to be gay, then why does God give us the gay feels? Why when you're woman, do you look at other women and go, Tibby? Like, why does that happen? And Frank Turek here just goes, there's all kinds of things that are wrong that we ought not do. Yeah? Could you explain why the gay part is wrong, though? Like, I know why it's wrong to murder somebody, because, then they stop living, and that's bad. I know why it's wrong to throw a cat across the room, because they don't like it. I know why it's wrong to bludgeon somebody up the head with a Nerf rifle, because it's uncomfy for them. I know it's wrong to do those things. So... But when it comes to the gay stuff, why would it be wrong to do that? Like, just ask yourself. When you take a Nerf rifle and you bludgeon somebody up the chin with it, it's wrong because it hurts them, and they don't like it. But if a homie wants their dick sucked, what's the problem? They want to do it, you want to do it, and hell, if you're pretending it's wrong, maybe it's even hotter. So why does it matter?
We're all born with an orientation toward bad behavior. It's called depravity. And if you don't restrain yourself from doing those things, you're not going to live very long. I mean, we all have impulses.
Okay, so if you are gay and you don't restrain yourself from fucking other guys, you're not going to live very long. Frank, can you explain why somebody who's gay might not live very long? Now, I'm fully aware that there's the position he might take here, like, no, I'm talking about all kinds of depravity, but no, we don't get to let him do the weasel thing. I learned from when we talked to Mike Winger, me and Ocean did, I learned that letting them do this weasel thing, it's not actually a good idea, because when they do the weasel thing, they get to hide behind, well, here's this long list of bad things, and if we do any of these, there's a chance we might die. Yeah, I know when I bludgeon somebody across the cheek with a Nerf rifle, I might die because that person might use a real rifle to get their comeuppance. I know that, Frank. But if a homie wants a dick suck, why does it matter? Like, how does that one lead to death? I want to know how that one leads to death. Because, again, the dude asks specifically about gay people. How does that one lead to death? Razor says, there's a chance I might be singing in church. Good luck with that one.
Just to do things we ought not do, correct? We live in a fallen world.
Brennan just goes, legendary dome can be fatal. Yeah, only because you might be able to, you might make it to where the semen fires out of the pee-pee so hard and fast that it's like a bullet going to the back of the skull. That's about as much as that's the only way I can see that being lethal. Oh, there's a chance you might die singing in church. Oh, that's different. That's a different word. Suris is illiterate. Yeah, I can't read. I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Since I was like 10 years old. I can't read.
That's why. None of us works properly. Nothing works absolutely the way it was made to work because we live
But why? Is it because God made it that way?
in a fallen world. So
Is it because the fallen world is because God made it that way? Because he did. When God was sitting there shaping Satan, when he was patting down his toes, when he was cresting his thighs, when he was building that body, when he gave him a 2-inch dick, that's why Satan had envy, by the way. He had a 2-inch dick. But when he gave him that, God knew the minute he did that he was going to create an angel who was going to get envious of everything he is, was, or did, and he was going to get casted down, and then that angel was going to cause the fall of humanity. He knew that, because if he didn't know that, then he's not all-knowing. We can only have a world where you have this all-powerful God that we ought worship, and therefore he knew when he made Satan that he was going to make him an insecure little bitch boy, or we have the world where God's not all-knowing. We have the world where God's not all-knowing, and as a result, he couldn't have known we would have a fallen world. He wouldn't have made humans that way. Alana says, is Lucifer a top or bottom? Lucifer thinks he's a top, but he's actually a bottom, and not even a power bottom. He's a sissy bottom. God just has a 3-inch penis, so he wanted to give Satan a 2-inch one to make himself feel better. Yeah, I don't know why God gave himself a 3-incher. He feels like he would have just given himself a complex that way. But, you know. Jack and Quill says, I mean, I don't know, sirs, you seem pretty okay despite that trait. Despite which trait? Not being able to read or being a Yu-Gi-Oh player? Because they're both negative traits, I'm going to tell you.
we all have our own cross to bear, so to speak. And yes, this is a particularly difficult one, but still, it is.
So he mentions that it's a particularly difficult cross to bear to have gay thoughts, which means canonically, Frank Turek has struggled with gay thoughts, which means canonically, Frank Turek has had one of the homies ask for some dome, and Frank struggled to say no. Technical says the 2-inch dick, you ding-dong. Hey, I'll have you know it's 1 inch. Thank you very much.
Is a desire that, according to God, given the design of the body and given his intention for human beings to procreate and to populate the earth and to cultivate a culture, homosexuality doesn't do any of those things. And so...
Homosexuality does cultivate a culture, though. Let's be honest. None of us straight guys, none of us know how to fucking decorate. You get your gay friend to help with that. Trust me. They are way better at it than you are. Infinitely better at it than you, Hall. I mean, you are. Sorry, that bled into a lesbian joke.
The ideal form of a relationship is a man and a woman coming together and procreating and bringing forth the next generation. And
let's pretend that gay people don't have the ability to do that. Look here. If you have a trans woman and a cis girl, they can be in a lesbian relationship and they will procreate just fine. Cute Darkheart says, why is there a feel-good button on the male butthole, Frank? Being gay isn't a sin, and $20 is $20, whether you're straight or gay. Oh my god. But, so, look. To pretend that gay people can't procreate is to ignore reality. There are plenty of ways in which gay people can procreate. They can be trans and therefore be fertile with their cis counterparts. There are people who can be, can use in vitro. There are people who can, hell, do something really awesome when it comes to raising kids. They can adopt. Or there's the counter-argument to this, the actual counter-argument to this, the one that I used in the conversation with Mike Winger, where the only argument that he had before getting rescued from on Modern Day Debate was, that's different. Frank, by this logic, what do you make of straight people who are infertile? What if the relationships are only good and godly, if they're straight, because they can procreate, then what happens when fertility is taken out of the picture? What happens when the guy's worn tighty-whities his entire life and fires blanks and dust? What do you do then? Is that bad? Should that person not be in a relationship anymore? Whether he's in a relationship with a girl or guy, it doesn't change anything. No matter which of those two relationships he chooses, he's firing blanks. He can give nothing to anyone ever again. Also, if I remember correctly, you can take an X from one sperm and a Y from another and make a biological offspring using an empty egg. Yeah, fair. I just hear a cartoon cough that goes... You're just sitting there like, just a little more stroking. Is that what happens? Is that what happens? Because that guy, it doesn't matter who he's with, he's not making kids. Should he not be in relationships anymore? Just, what do you do?
In couples that can't do that, but they're men and women, you know, say they're a sterile couple, they're
Oh, sweet, he actually addresses it.
still modeling a procreative relationship to the rest of the culture.
So it's okay for the straight people to be in a relationship because they're playing pretend really well. They're... He addresses infertile people by saying, well, at least they're modeling it. At least they're making it look okay. Dude, that just means y'all are playing pretend. It doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter at all. If the reason... Because it doesn't matter what they fucking model. I don't care what they LARP. I don't give a shit about LARPers. If they are in a relationship and the reason you are giving that gay people should not be in a relationship is that they cannot procreate, then it is only logically consistent for people who are not fertile to not be able to be in relationships either for the exact same reason. Otherwise, it's just fucking LARPing, which you just admitted to, you piece of human feces.
Because the law is a great teacher. And so... many people think whatever is legal is moral and whatever is illegal is immoral. So you're still modeling a relationship.
Which means Frank Turek has just subtly said that gay people should be criminalized. Being gay should be criminalized. That's what that statement means. I don't care what you think. I don't care how soft you want to be on Dear Frankie Poo here. But if somebody says the law is a teacher... and then beforehand says gay people shouldn't get together, there's only one logical conclusion. Gay couples should not have legal recompense. That's not a good thing, Frank.
And you're also keeping the man off the streets if he's in a monogamous married relationship with another woman from going around impregnating women out of wedlock. So there are advantages.
No, what? No, you're not. Wait. Does he think cheating doesn't exist? Does he think polyamory doesn't exist? My guy, there are many people who get off to the idea of spreading their seed. Wife be damned. I mean, hell, the wife might be a cuck. She might be into it. Who knows?
Advantages, quite obviously, even to sterile couples getting together. And, you know, I think that the reason, I mean, there's several reasons that the heterosexual orientation is what God intends, let me say the heterosexual behavior is what God intends to
yes. The orientation is what God intends. And let me fix that. You're not oriented wrong. God made you that way, but he didn't want you to be that way. But this is Frank floundering awfully.
Create, to bring forth the next generation, to enable one another to sacrifice for one another. And you do that in a heterosexual relationship because the physical needs of a man are balanced by the emotional needs of a woman and vice versa. You don't tend.
So are we pretending that men and women have different emotional needs? Because that's only marginally true. Are we pretending we have different physical needs? Because again, that's only marginally true. Like, one guy might have zero physical needs whatsoever, and his girlfriend might be a horny rat bastard. And that guy might also be the most emotionally dependent person in the world, and that woman is just like, I don't know, draw a Chad meme with a woman on it instead, and there you go. That's the girl. And then boom, you've got a relationship that flies in the face of everything Frank Turek has just said. And guess what? You've probably seen this relationship before. You've probably talked to your friend about this relationship, and you've tried to let him know that he's a little bit too clingy, and his girlfriend's probably going to leave him if he keeps doing that shit. And I mean, that friend probably also really needs to become more emotionally independent, not dependent. And you've probably spent way too much time talking with them late at night, pointing out that you really need to sleep, and your wife's going to get even more angry at you for not coming to bed because she's had needs. I'm just saying, hypothetically.
And to get that in same-sex relationships. For example, two men, men just want to copulate. That's what we want to do. And so there's no real...
You say that, but ace people exist. You say that, but there's plenty of men who just don't want to boink.
Sacrifice that needs to be made when you have two men coupling, and there's no real sacrifice that needs to be made when two women are coupling. So
there's no real sacrifice that needs to be made when two men are coupling, and there's no real sacrifice that needs to be made when two women are coupling? That doesn't make any sense. Every relationship has sacrifice. Also, hi, honey.
Hi.
What's up?
So...
Hello, yes?
I made a copy of Three Blind Mice.
Okay.
And then every trigger of Three Blind Mice
creates a copy of Three Blind Mice.
Forever.
You okay, hun?
Turn 4? I
Yeah.
have 12 of these.
Who hurt you?
Who are you?
All right, Frank, I've only got 40 more seconds of having to deal with you.
Well, I think even part of the marriage relationship is to make us more like Jesus, actually. In fact, Gary Thomas wrote a book a number of years ago.
So be more like Jesus. So we need to give away free health care to people who need it. We need to give away free food to people who need it. We need to give away free education to people who need it. We need to go out to the desert and hang out with a bunch of dudes. I mean, a lot of dudes. We need to end our lives by being nailed by a bunch of Romans. I mean, I'm going to be honest. The worst part of I can't do this joke with the model. But I guess if we're going to be like Jesus, we got to be hung like this. Just pointing that out. Like, if he wants us to model like Jesus, then we got to do all that. So let's not forget shelter for the needy. Yeah, that too.
Called Sacred Marriage, and the subtitle of the book is kind of worth the price of the book. I think the subtitle is something like, "What if God created marriage more for our holiness than our happiness?"
Huh. If there's not a more damning and telling statement from Frank about marriage, I don't know what to tell you. If his assessment is basically going to be that, hey, what if God made marriage not so you could be happy? And that's why you're not happy in your marriage. Not because you can't find the clit. And not because you won't stop messaging me at fucking 1 in the morning telling me about your wife's physical needs that you need to actually handle, Tim! Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. That one wasn't supposed to come out anyways. Please your wife. You'll be happier that way. Frank Turek here telling people how not to be gay. And why not to be gay. As always, everybody. Insert end of video tagline here.